These most rare and valuable old dirty Washington quarters hiding in your drawers, jars, and pockets could be life-changing treasures. Today, we're revealing the rarest dates, shocking mint errors, and secret features that turn ordinary-looking coins into jaw-dropping jackpot finds. Today, we're diving deep into the most rare and valuable 1965-era Washington quarter dollars. This is the one. Because the 1965 quarter is hiding secrets that even lifelong collectors still get shocked by, imagine finding a simple 1965 quarter in your old change jar, a coin everyone thinks is worth just 25 cents. A coin most people would toss on a table, ignore, or use to scratch off a lottery ticket. Let's jump back to America in the mid-1960s. The U.S. Mint was facing one of the biggest coin crises in history. Silver prices were skyrocketing, people were hoarding coins, and the government was desperate to stop the shortage. So in 1965, the Mint stopped making silver quarters and introduced the brand new clad quarter, copper on the inside, nickel on the outside, and absolutely no silver. The decision changed American coinage forever. Let's start with the most famous of them all, the unbelievable this coin was not supposed to exist. Silver quarters officially ended in 1964. But a few leftover 90% silver planchets accidentally got stuck in the minting machinery and used in 1965 by mistake. A tiny number escaped into circulation, and today they're among the most valuable clad era errors ever found. One of these coins sold for $12,000, another sold for nearly $20,000, and high-grade examples have the potential to reach $50,000 to $100,000 or more, depending on condition. Some collectors even believe that the rarest pieces could break six figures if a perfect example is ever discovered. This is the type of coin people dream about finding because it looks almost exactly like a normal quarter, yet holds unbelievable value. One of the most dramatic mistakes is the off-center error, a coin where the design is struck so far off the planchet that it looks like a piece of modern art. Depending on how extreme the strike is, these errors routinely sell for $200 to $500, and for large off-center strikes with the date showing, collectors pay $1,000 or more. The bigger the mistake, the bigger the money. And because off-center errors are visually striking, they're some of the most popular coins among collectors. Then we get to the heavy hitters, the double die error. Not all double dies are super dramatic, but the strongest ones, especially those showing doubling on the motto, the word liberty, or the date, can command serious prices. A strong double die quarter from 1965 can easily bring $500 to $1,000. Another rare money maker is the struck on wrong planchet error. These quarters were accidentally struck on planchets meant for foreign coins or even other U.S. denominations. Imagine a quarter struck on a dime planchet, thinner, lighter, and missing part of the design. These sell from $1,000 to $7,000. A dramatic wrong planchet error like this can bring $10,000 to $20,000, and in ultra-rare combinations, even much more. The 1966 era Washington quarter dollar is one of the most common dates ever made. But here's the twist: hidden among the billions of ordinary pieces are rare, shocking, and almost unbelievable 1966 era quarters that can turn that small piece of metal into, and the people who found them never expected anything more than spare change until they discovered they were holding one of the most valuable. To understand why the 1966 quarter has so many valuable errors, we need to jump back to the mid-1960s. The United States was in a full-blown coin shortage. Silver prices were rising, people were hoarding coins, and the government was struggling to keep enough quarters, dimes, and half dollars in circulation, so the U.S. Mint made a massive decision. Silver was removed completely, and in 1965, the new clad coins began rolling out. But the transition from silver to clad wasn't smooth. Machines weren't prepared. One of the most famous of these mistakes is the off-center error. Off-center strikes happen when a planchet isn't correctly seated in the press. 30%, 50%, even 70% off-center, especially with the date still visible, easily jumps to $500 to $1,000, and $2,000 or more. The bigger the error, the bigger the price. Some of these extreme off-center 1966 quarters are among the most eye-catching mistakes of the entire clad era. But off-center errors are just the beginning. One of the most valuable and shocking mistakes is the double strike error. This happens when the quarter is struck once and then struck again without leaving the press. Depending on how far the coin shifted between strikes, you can see doubled portraits, doubled dates, or even two overlapping reverse designs. These dramatic errors routinely fetch $1,000 to $5,000, and if the second strike is far off and bold, collectors will pay even more. Another powerhouse error is the 1966 struck on wrong Planchet error Washington quarter. During the chaotic 1965 to 1966 transition period, the mint used planchets for foreign coins, nickels, and dimes. Sometimes, these planchets were accidentally fed into the quarter presses. A 1966 quarter struck on a dime planchet will appear smaller, lighter, and missing parts of the design. These rare gems can sell from $1,500 to over $10,000, depending on their condition. Even more valuable are quarters struck on planchets meant for foreign governments. Some of those have sold for $15,000 to $20,000 or more. One of the most dramatic and visually stunning mistakes is the missing clad layer error, because quarters after 1965 were made with a copper core and two outer nickel layers. Sometimes one or both of these layers were missing during minting. These errors typically sell for $500 to $2,000, but dramatic full-side missing clad layers in high grade can hit $3,000 to $5,000. Imagine picking up an ordinary quarter from 1967 era Washington quarter dollar, a simple something that most people toss into a jar or spend without a second thought. But what if I told you that inside the massive production of 1967, hidden among millions of common coins, there are extremely rare and shocking errors that can turn this tiny 25-cent piece into a treasure? Yes, some collectors believe that certain rare errors from 1967 could realistically reach six-figure or even million-dollar value if the right discovery is made. To understand why the 1967 Washington quarter is full of valuable errors, we need to go back to the mid-1960s, one of the most intense periods in U.S. coin history. The mint was under extreme pressure because the nation was suffering from a coin shortage. People were hoarding old silver coins, the government was trying to remove silver from circulation, and the mint was working non-stop to produce enough clad quarters, dimes, and half-dollars. That stress caused machines to wear out, dies to crack, and planchets to mix up, leading to some of the greatest and most valuable mint errors ever produced. Let's start with one of the most visually dramatic mistakes. The off-center error. Off-center strikes happen when a blank planchet isn't positioned correctly during the strike, causing the entire design to be shifted to one side. Minor off-center strikes might only be worth a few $100s, but dramatic ones 30%, 40%, even 70% off-center with the date visible can sell for $800, $1,500, or even $2,500. And a huge 1967 off-center quarter in mint state could easily bring more than $5,000. Then we have the astonishing double strike error. These coins are struck once, then struck again, either in the same position or completely shifted. You can see doubled heads, doubled eagles, two rims, or overlapping images. These are some of the most desirable errors for collectors. A minor double strike might bring $500 to $1,200, but more dramatic ones, especially rotation or far-off secondary strikes, can bring $3,000, $5,000, and even above $10,000 for extreme examples. One of the most valuable categories of errors from this year is the struck on wrong planchet error. During this time, the mint was making coins not only for the United States but also for foreign governments. That means planchets for other countries were often mixed into American coin production. A 1967 quarter struck on a dime planchet, nickel planchet, or foreign bronze planchet can be worth $3,000, $6,000, or even $10,000 depending on condition. But the rarest ones struck on unusual or undocumented foreign metal blanks have the potential to surpass $20,000. If a 1967 quarter were ever found struck on leftover silver planchets from the early transition years, that coin could easily break $50,000 to $100,000. Another incredible and very popular mint mistake is the 1967 missing clad layer error Washington quarter. After silver was removed in 1965, quarters were made with a copper core and two nickel-clad layers. But sometimes the outer layer failed to bond, leaving the quarter with only copper showing on one entire side. These can sell for $500 to $1,500, and full missing clad layers in mint state can bring more than $3,000. If both outer layers were missing a nearly impossible but theoretically possible error, the value could reach tens of thousands of dollars. Now we move into the category of rare errors that many collectors believe might exist but simply haven't surfaced yet. One of these is the rumored transitional error Washington quarter struck on a silver planchet. In 1965 and 1966, leftover silver planchets were accidentally used for striking new clad-era coins, creating legendary transitional errors worth tens of thousands of dollars today. Although the mint officially ended silver production before, it is still possible, though extremely rare, that a leftover silver planchet could have been stuck in machinery and struck with the 1967 design. If a genuine 1967 silver quarter is ever found, experts believe it could be a six-figure treasure. In high grade, it might even reach the $1 million level simply because it would represent a once-in-a-lifetime minting mistake from the height of America's coinage transition. Stories of high-value 1967 errors continue to grow. A 1967 quarter struck on a dime planchet has sold for several $1,000s. A dramatic double strike has crossed the $10,000 mark. A massive off-center example sold for more than $4,000. And a multi-strike piece, distorted beyond recognition, drew intense bidding from collectors who love dramatic errors, pushing its value into the thousands.